Hey everyone, welcome back to the recap of the Walking Dead universe. We are here live every week during the show season to discuss the latest episode. Catch our recaps at any time on any podcast platform that you want. Today we are covering TWD Dead City Season 2, Episode 4, Feisty Friendly. I'm your host, Tamara, and I'm glad you've joined us for today's episode. A special thank you to anyone joining us live and taking time out of your evening to be here. Before we start, please follow us on all of your social media platforms. The links to find both me and Lisa are in the show notes. If you like what you hear, hit the subscribe button. You won't want to miss a single episode. Joining me is show co host Lisa. Welcome back, Lisa.
Hey, Tamara. Hey, everyone. My name is Lisa Orban. I am an author. I'm also the founder of Indies United Publishing House, and I love all things pop culture.
Okay, but before we get started, we would love your participation in this conversation. So if you are listening live on YouTube, hit us up in the comment section. If you are catching this on a replay, you can still comment on YouTube or Spotify, or even leave us a voicemail using the SpeakPipe link in the show notes. If you're new to the podcast, we are laid back in our review style, right, Lisa?
Oh, absolutely, Tamara. This is a conversation, not a dissertation.
Exactly. No scene by scene breakdowns here. We jump around. And of course, huge spoiler alert for everything, every show in this world through yesterday's episode. And if you're good with that, this is the place for you. And we should just jump right to it.
All right.
What'd you think?
Herschel's a traitor.
Yeah, little brat.
Little brat.
It's official. It's been official, but it's official now.
Right. The rumors were there. The clues were there. I didn't see them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're there. The
Mhm.
clue was partially the rag, apparently,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So I missed that. Sorry, guys.
Well, I
But
missed it too at first. I mean, I heard a couple people talking about it, but I'm like, really? What? And they weren't even saying it was confirmed in that episode. They were all just kind of speculating at that point.
yeah, well, and I really didn't think he would have been for a couple of reasons. But the main one was last season. Every time we saw Herschel, he was in a bad way.
Mm-hmm.
He was not having a good time. He was not in that fancy room. He was not drawing. He was not um living well. He
Right.
was, tied up. He was a prisoner.
Right.
And then we saw his toe.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they worked really hard at that misdirect by not giving us the proper information.
Well, look, here's the thing. I still expect, even if it's a couple sentences, I expect them to clear that up for us. When was he getting tortured? When was he in a bad way? When
Right.
did they decide to cut off a toe, right? Was it a look, we need to send you back looking like you went through something?
Mm-hmm.
Or was it before and to break him down and now the Dama is building him back up? Like, give me a little bit of context because it seems weird.
Right. I mean, I guess maybe when they found out that Negan and Maggie were in the city, they're like, okay, we don't know when they're gonna be here, but we're gonna toss you in here to make it look good,
Mhm. Mhm.
Or if everything that we had seen up until them finding Herschel was from early on in his captivity, not later on.
Right.
But again, when they found Herschel, he was not exactly living in a he was tied up to a chair, wasn't he?
Look, I guess they could have said, "Hey, the people are coming for you. We got to put you where you need to be so it looks like you're having a rough time. Like you got to stay here until you get rescued." I don't know. Maybe it was that.
But it also seems kind of weird because I mean, so they were getting the hints that Maggie and Negan were in town.
Right.
Okay.
Mhm.
but I don't think they meant for them to create the kind of destruction that the two of them did actually end up creating.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, let's face it, I don't think things went exactly as planned.
No, I definitely not.
Or if that was the plan, I'm gonna really wonder about them.
Yeah.
And I am kind of wanting now to go back and watch the first season again.
Oh, well, if you do, you let me know what you find because I'm not doing it. Let me know if you see something that looks different than you think you saw it the first time.
I'm not saying I'm going to. I'm just saying at least right now I'm like, wait a minute.
Mhm.
This is just it's not quite gelling just because of when we had this flashback this season. I mean, Herschel is in a really great, you know, gigantic freight elevator that's been turned into this swank thing that he can look out over the city at. Um, I mean, this is yeah. And I don't know, it almost sounds like the plan was to let Maggie rescue him, to send him back, but for what reason we don't know.
Right, and I mean, maybe and, we're just all hypothesizing over here and having our own ideas of what they could have in their brains because we really don't know, but honestly,
Stupidity.
it could really be as simple as send Herschel back. And in this episode, we know that the Dama was a little surprised to see him, I think.
Yeah.
So I think that maybe he was just supposed to be a sleeper cell and just stay there and
Hmm.
just let me know if anyone comes, right?
Right.
If the day should come where they come to the city trying to get something or attack us or invade us, just let me know.
Hmm.
I don't know if she actually intended for the kid to actually come across the river. I don't know if she expected that or not.
Yeah, because I mean, she was pretty intent on that boat being sunk.
Yeah, so I gotta think she didn't think he was even on it.
Right.
So because his mother didn't want him on the boat. So I think he was just supposed to stay there and kind of just be the warning
Hmm.
signal. So that's my guess anyway.
Yeah. And it was kind of an interesting moment between Negan and Maggie.
Mhm.
Um, because I gotta tell you, when Negan wants to, he can really have the sad puppy dog face going on there,
Mhm.
and he's just like, I can't. There's people, I can't. And she instantly knew. Oh, your wife and child.
But look, this is why I thought that was kind of silly. Like, why are we playing these games? You guys are past that. Just say they got my family.
Yeah.
Or just say, "People, why are you being so elusive about it? What's the big deal? You
Right.
guys are we
Well,
past this? Let's get to business."
you know, um, you can tell that Negan legitimately likes Maggie at this point.
Mhm.
And Maggie is doing everything she can to make sure that everyone knows she hates Negan. But I'm beginning to think she doesn't hate Negan.
She hates that she doesn't hate him,
Yeah, exactly.
and she feels like she still should hate him, which I do understand.
I'm sure she probably thinks that her not hating him anymore probably feels like a betrayal
Mhm.
to Glenn.
Mhm.
But it really
Yeah.
was kind of sad. She should have finished that story about Glenn. She should have, because Herschel has almost no stories of his father because no one will
Mhm.
speak of him because of how Maggie feels, and that's been very unfair to him. Because
Mhm.
everyone that could talk about Glenn doesn't because of Maggie.
Well,
And
the people they're with now, they probably never none of those people knew him.
no, but I mean, whenever like when Maggie went back with the group back
Mhm.
on the other show, I guess when there was at least once where someone said something about Glenn, and Maggie, of course, just went, "Ugh," and they stop.
Mm.
And so when she started to talk about Glenn, when she was the Kit Kat bar,
Mhm.
and Herschel really perked up. he wanted to hear about this. He wanted to hear about his dad. And I think it's really kind of, it's been very selfish of Maggie not to share how great his dad really had been. I mean, she has conveyed to him that she loved his dad, okay, and
Yep.
that she was devastated by his death, but she's never really shared any stories apparently about him. He knows literally nothing. He's found out more about his dad from Negan probably than he has from Maggie.
Yeah, we know Maggie has quite a few shortcomings when it comes to parenting,
Yes.
and it's almost like on one hand, I don't want to be too hard on her because she has a very interesting set of circumstances.
Right.
But on the other side, everyone is struggling. Everyone's in the apocalypse. Everyone lost people.
Right.
Everyone is dealing with this world, right? Like pull
Mhm.
it together a little bit. So
Right.
I'm teetering on, having empathy toward her. So
Yeah. Well,
I
cuz I mean, it's and I do realize the brutality of Glenn's death was awful. Don't get me wrong.
yeah,
But he wasn't the only one that died that night
right.
and died brutally. And it's not like no one else on the show has ever had a brutal death because there have been a lot of them.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Um and you know, I mean, let's take Rick's wife who died in childbirth and and his son had to put her down after she had the baby.
Mhm.
You know, that was traumatic. And yet, you know, Carl was a pretty good kid. I mean, he had some issues. Everyone has issues on this show,
Right.
but it didn't keep him from being a good son and a good big brother
Mhm.
and a good person. And I'm not saying that Maggie isn't a good person, but she is hard.
She is hard, and she knows that. She even said, "Hey, I know I seem this way, but I'm gooey on the inside." She basically said that I'm hurting and I'm scared.
Right.
Um, and that's just how she has developed as a person over these years. In that,
Hmm.
I don't know. I've had someone in my family that, is just a real hard outer shell, right? It's really
Hmm.
hard to break into it. But once you do, but they still appear that way. So I struggle with, yes, she's got some work to do to improve her relationship with her son, but on the
Hmm.
other hand, I still kind of feel like she's doing what she can with her own issues. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
And
And
I get that. But
yeah.
like I said, she started talking about the Kit Kat bar and she was happy until until it's like, oh yeah, Glenn. And then she
Yeah.
just shut up. And
Yeah.
he looked and Herschel looked absolutely devastated that she wouldn't continue the story.
And his reaction to that was, who cares about the past? All they did was bad stuff anyway.
Right. And I think that
So,
tried to cover up his disappointment.
yeah. But, I think the more conversations they have, the more Maggie is starting to realize how her behavior affected her son.
Mm-hmm.
Like when they were talking about the firefly situation again
Mm-hmm.
on the roof, and he's like, well, actually, she says, do you remember it the same way as me? And he's like, well, actually,
Right.
I was a little older and I remember you crying and being sad and I wanted to like lift your spirits kind of, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she apologizes. She's like it dawns on her that wow, he saw me like bawling and being sad and it made her feel bad that he had to do that. And
Yeah.
that's growth to me
Yeah.
a little
It
bit.
is.
Yeah.
There I mean it's but you can also hear now that you realize that he has been under the Dama's spell, you can also hear her in the things he says, like the past is gone. It
Mhm.
doesn't mean anything. Because that's very much about the Dama. The things that she said. We don't want to go back to the past. We want it to stay, we want that to be past and broke. We want a new something.
Well, I feel that especially now that Negan has said to Maggie, hey, your kid is not to be trusted.
Yeah.
He's been turned. Now that that has been kind of relayed to her, I feel like even though she doesn't want to believe it, right? I think that's going to get some kind of sense of urgency in her that she needs to rebuild trust with Herschel immediately,
Yeah.
where she can kind of still manage to sway him or have any kind of authority over him.
Mhm.
Because she's got like, I don't know how she's going to do it in this situation where they're trying to hurry up and, accomplish a goal, but
Mhm.
somehow she's got to break through to him. And I think maybe that's why she asked the Firefly story, trying to crack through a little bit.
Well, no,
Maybe.
because the Firefly story was before she went to talk to Negan.
Oh, well, shit. I don't know then.
Yeah.
Well, she's got work to do, and now she's probably gonna feel like she's gonna be looking at him sideways, even though I'm sure she doesn't want to take Negan at his word. But now that it's like once someone says something, it's in your head now.
Yeah, it is.
And she's gonna be
Although,
looking at him sideways.
and I I do find it interesting the way that Negan talks to Maggie. He talks very soft, very soothing, um, as if his very voice will break her.
He talks
Um,
to her like she is the scared puppy or dog that could bite your hand off.
right.
So she's, hey, it's all good. Don't worry. He's talking, like you said, kind of mild, low key, trying to keep even tempered
Hmm.
for sure. But I think it's because he thinks her reaction.
Yeah. He. You can tell how much Negan has attitude has changed towards him simply by the way he's talking to her. Because it is very there is compassion in his voice when he talks to her. There's concern, and I think it's kind of interesting. And it's not one of those things like, oh, they're gonna fall in love. No, they're not.
Oh,
That's
no, no, no.
not that. No, no. But I mean, Negan had a grudging respect for her for a very long time that has turned into genuine respect. But he's also very much aware of how fragile she really is. And he does care about her in this weird way.
See, I would be reluctant to say care per se. I feel like we know he respects her.
Yes.
We know he has a healthy fear of her because,
Yeah,
she is relentless.
she is.
So I think he just really respects her, if nothing else. And he just wants to maintain a working relationship. They
And
can deal with each other, right?
right. But no, I really do think that Negan has, like I said, of no doubt he has respect for her. But I do get the impression that he he cares about her in not like he cares about his wife, not or anything like that. But there's this almost sense of responsibility because she is this way because of him.
Okay, maybe. I guess if I put it in context again of a wounded dog or something, maybe.
Yeah,
Like maybe in that way he cares for her.
yeah,
Because
um,
he broke her, he damaged her, so
yeah.
he feels a responsibility.
Right. Like I said, he does have a mad respect for her.
Yeah.
He has definite fear of her too. As you said, the fear. Um, but I think part of that too is the realization that Maggie is this way, and it's his fault.
Mhm.
And it is. This is her being this way is Negan's fault ultimately.
Oh, definitely. No question there, and he can't even deny it. So,
No, he can't
hmm.
because there is a distinct difference of pre Glenn being bludgeoned to death and post being bludgeoned to death.
Yeah, her character basically changed a lot
Hmm.
after that. Um, yeah, that was wild. But, so now he's dealing with it, and now he knows he's got a task to do. He's got to protect his family,
Hmm.
and he's still, even though he said he couldn't tell, he still gave up the goods anyway.
Yeah, he did,
It's like,
and
well,
I knew he would. I knew he
Mhm.
would.
Mhm.
Because he always does. Well, not always, but his recent interactions with Maggie would indicate that he would.
See, I feel like he almost thinks of Maggie as kind of like, it's the wound that constantly festers and never heals.
Hmm.
So, as long as she comes and asks him, he will probably be happy to never see her ass again. Because anytime she comes to him and asks for something or needs something, he's gonna do it whether he wants to or not.
Yeah,
Because he still feels like he owes her. He still has to make it right. So he's gonna do it to his own detriment.
right. And I think until Maggie is a whole person again, he's going to feel that responsibility for as long as he's alive.
Yeah.
Um, and and I do hope that someday Maggie becomes a whole person again. I'm sure he does.
I'm sure he does. And to be quite frank, that probably will be the moment they never see each other again. I just cannot see any world where they are in the same space living day to day forever into the future. I just cannot see it.
Oh, I can't either. It
Yeah.
if they have to be in each other's presence, I mean, there is a brittle trust between the two of them.
Yeah, especially because she has to consider Herschel, and Herschel is still really upset about all of that, even though he
Mhm.
tries to act like he's not. He acts like he doesn't care like any teenager does, but
Right.
clearly he does the way he acts.
And he does or at least Glenn did like Negan. Uh, I'm not sure at this point what who knows anymore. Yeah.
Who knows?
And oh, speaking of teenage angst, we have a gun
Oh gosh.
in a
Yeah.
in a revenge plot.
Yeah, Jenny's like, I have revenge plans, and Naravez is like, "Hey, what you doing with this gun, girl?
Yeah.
What's happening?" And she
Let me
understands,
yeah,
like,
let me clean this for you so you can, get your, you know, quote unquote legal vengeance.
but she also confirmed that Negan is alive by asking her, "Oh, is his name Negan? Is that who it is?" So she kind of just also confirmed and went against what what's his face said. Everyone thinks that he killed Negan and he
Hmm.
did not.
Yeah.
So I think maybe Jenny and her will work together at some point.
Yeah, probably. And
Mhm.
and because this whole time Maggie's assuming that Jenny wants to get back to Negan so that she can be with him again. And yeah, that's the way wrong thing to look at this. Yeah.
Yeah, that is very wrong, and, I think that while, is she a general? What's her title? What's her station? I don't know.
Pain in
But
the ass. Sorry.
yeah. So I think she will help Jenny. They will team up, but in the end, she's gonna come for Pearlie. She's gonna be like, "You lied. You need to die. It's in the rules," or some shit. She's
Oh, I'm
gonna
sure.
use that to kind of get rid of him because, kind of speaking about her, Navarez, or I think that's how you say Navarez. I think that's how you say it. When Pearlie tells them, "Hey, stay here. We'll be back."
Uh-huh.
She's like, "What did she say? Yes, sir," or something. She had the most sarcastic look on her face.
Yes, Colonel.
Yes, right. I'm like, "Oh, man." She said that with the biggest dose of sarcasm she could muster. I'm like, "Okay, we know how that's going." So she gonna look for every opportunity to get rid of him.
Yeah. And it part of what kills me about her is she is still thinking that she is operating from a place of strength when they obviously are not.
Mm.
And even if they find this methane, do they really think they're just going to pick the tanks up and carry them back across the water?
No, that's not how that works. So I don't know what they think they're gonna do. We don't know that part of the plan. What happens when they get to the location? What are they trying to do exactly?
Right. Because they could try to secure the location, but there's not enough of them.
No, they don't even have their whole crew anymore.
Right. I think they're down to like what, 15, 18 people, maybe?
Maybe.
It's not like they have unlimited ammo. They've lost almost all of their supplies. not that they had a lot to begin with,
Mhm.
because almost all the supplies were taken from the communities that they took the people from.
Mhm.
And this isn't a voluntary army.
Right.
She is probably the only person there that wants to be there.
Right.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I don't know.
there were a few others before, but like the historian, who at this point probably wants to be anywhere than where he is,
Oh my gosh, that guy.
you know.
Yeah.
But um, yeah, it's yeah. There's that whole
Honestly, the
thing,
plan is half baked. What are they gonna they it's half baked. That's why it's gonna fail. It's gonna be a mess.
right? Because logic would dictate after they lost everyone to somehow figure out a way to get off of this island without anyone else noticing
Mhm.
as best they can and go back and regroup. Because what they're doing right now is suicide. I'm
Mhm.
sorry, they're cut off from their entire army, which they didn't have much of one anyway.
Right.
Because honestly, if they had an army, they would have brought an army, not conscripted 50 people who didn't want to be there.
Right. Yeah. It was a bad plan from the very beginning. So, whatever they think they're gonna do is gonna fail. You know, there's her what's her face, I cannot say her name, I keep saying it wrong. The colonel, whatever, she's gonna be splitting her attention trying to take care of Pearlie.
Yep.
It's not gonna work. It's gonna be a mess. They're gonna find out that Negan told, which is gonna make a bigger mess. I don't know. I'm curious to see how it goes down because it will be a fight, or more people will die. Somebody else is gonna die.
I did get kind of a giggle out of the dinner setup.
Uh-huh.
Did you notice how it is set? They set this whole thing up like the Last Supper.
Yeah, I noticed. It was kind of obvious, like on the nose, kind of,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
there was even I don't. There's one point where everyone was kind of doing the same thing that they had inside the actual Last Supper painting. So I did have kind of a little bit of a giggle out of that. There have been more blatant cinematography done with that particular scene, but I did think it was kind of funny.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, this guy, Bruegel, he's weird, right?
He is so over the top.
He's serving up rats and carrots like it's a fine dining experiment, serving like, "Hey, this is the best of the best food for you guys. Enjoy." Like, you're in a five-star restaurant eating rats, I guess,
Yeah. Hey, but you got a carrot.
and a carrot.
All
It
right, I'm
was
sure that carrot was a big deal.
I'm sure it was, and we're gonna watch a show, but the show is gonna be, like, fights,
Yeah.
Walker fights.
Okay, I gotta know because I've been suspicious about this quote unquote Walker since the first time we showed, they showed him,
Yep.
and you and I were because we were wondering like, are these two living guys? Are these the dead? It seems kind of weird. Although the whole putting brains on each of the um, contestants does actually explain a few things.
Well, not if it's from the dead, it's gotta be from something living. Because
Right,
remember, they were using the dead's guts and stuff to hide.
right.
So it only works if, I guess, maybe it's from another animal?
I don't know.
It can't be from a person. Where they get all that blood from? That
Well,
doesn't really make sense.
I mean, there are people. I mean, they kill a lot of people, so it, I don't
It
know
I mean, it has to be a person or an animal, and if they have an animal big enough to get all that blood, you could be eating that animal and not rats.
exactly.
So, I don't it does not make sense to me. It's not blood of the dead because it
Oh well,
doesn't work
yeah. I
like
mean, and
that.
I knew. I mean, I assumed that. That's why they were basically doctoring him up. But I had been suspicious about the champion. I'm like,
We both were because we were
yeah,
saying they don't even walk like that. They don't even, like, fight each other like that. That's not even using the blood, it doesn't really answer the question all the way, and now
right,
I know why.
yeah. At least one of them was alive. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
and and Negan didn't suspect that at all. Um, it just Negan was being Negan. We're gonna douse this guy down with oil and we're gonna slick him up like a pig.
He knew something was off,
He knew
right?
something was off, but it wasn't until he was holding him against the
Yeah.
gate
Then
that
he
he knew,
knew.
and then he pushed him back
Mhm. He's
and
like,
let
"Oh
him
my
go.
gosh." Yeah, he probably looked him dead in his eyes like, "Oh my god. It's a guy, it's a person."
This is a real person.
Yeah, cuz his eyes weren't all, cloudy.
Yeah. And I will say that, the old Negan would have let him die and wouldn't have blinked.
Yeah. But he knew if I push the guy back, he'll probably save himself and now I have leverage.
Hmm.
I have leverage over Bruegel. He's going to do what I want because I'm going to expose him.
If he does it.
Yeah. And so he probably just whispered in his ear, "Oh, I know that guy's alive and I'm going to tell everyone unless you agree." Thank
Right.
you.
And I'm sure that's exactly what he said.
Mhm.
Because he could have outed him right then and there.
Mhm, he could have.
And did you notice that he didn't mention to the Dama or anyone else what had happened? He
Well,
didn't, he didn't tell them that this was a real live person.
no, I wouldn't either. He's got to keep something in his pocket,
Yep.
as long as she got what she wanted. What does it matter?
Right. I mean, she's suspicious. She knows he said something. She just doesn't know what.
Yeah. She was eyeballing them like, "What is he saying to him?" But
Hmm.
at that point, hey, they got what they wanted. They got him in the alliance and didn't have to give up anything for it.
Exactly.
So for now, she's satisfied, and I'm sure the Croat was pissed off because he wasn't the one who got the deal done.
Right. He's the one who almost blew it about a half a dozen times.
I know. So it was Negan's job to stop him from messing up.
Hmm.
Like, hey, be a roadblock for him anytime he goes off the rails, and we almost like lose the deal. Go in there and fix it, schmooze him over, and make it right. And he
Right.
does. In the ninth hour, he's always at the last minute. Oh man, this isn't going right. Okay, I'll step in and say something.
Hmm.
He doesn't want to, but he does it.
Oh, and I did enjoy the historian when he realized who the Dama was. Oh, I know who you are.
You're the
And what happened?
meanest theater critic in the world.
And I bit him.
Hmm. I am curious to see what her history, her past story is going to have to, like, how it informs what she's doing now. Exactly.
Well, so we know that she was a very big deal, that she made or broke, careers. And then her career got broken. And she
Yeah, because
was
she
no
bit
longer
someone.
powerful anymore. She was no longer the it girl.
Hmm.
And, who the one wielding the power. And I think, that's part of her hatred for the old world because it humiliated her. You could you could see I don't it was like embarrassment, anger, seething rage all sitting there next to the historian.
Look, it took everything in her not to tell his ass to shut up immediately. Like,
Yeah.
you could tell it was bubbling up, but I think she just kept her mouth shut. She couldn't, I guess all those people around, you couldn't really react.
What was she gonna do? Bite him?
She might try. I
She
don't know.
might. Before this is all said and done, she might.
She's a biter.
She's not even dead.
Mm-mm.
Um. So yeah, she started the trend, I guess. She's a trendsetter.
Yeah, but apparently she likes running people. She likes bossing people around. She's very
Hmm.
judgmental. Clearly, she's got an eye for what she thinks good art is.
Right.
I don't know.
So yeah,
Hmm.
like I said, she wants because she is a weird woman because she does have this fascination with the past. With the paintings and the music and the trappings and stuff. And at the same time, she absolutely loathes it. And you
Yeah.
can tell that she loathes it.
Yeah.
So, she's just kind of an interesting mix.
I mean, she's talking about building the city new, right? not
Yeah,
restoring it to what it was, but making something new. She talked to that guy who was the violinist, like, "Hey, that old music is is nice, but what about new music?"
right.
Basically. So she is over the past. I don't know.
And yet she surrounds herself with it. I mean, where she, her primary domicile, it's all the baroque and velvet and
I
yeah,
guess she kind of has that in common with Bruegel because he's in the Met with all the art from all over the place. He's
yep,
got all the fancy things as well. They're collectors.
yeah. And they're both insane.
Yeah.
He's just a little more flamboyant in his insanity than she is, but she is just as insane as he is.
Oh, no doubt. What do you think that was the deal with them, like, calling him they're essentially saying he's wealthy.
Yeah.
Wealthy with what exactly?
Well, I mean, he's got the art museum. He's got, I, I think wealth in this case is power, and he does have
Well,
power.
he did have the biggest group, I think.
Yeah.
So he definitely has power in numbers.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have actual power. That's what he was trying to negotiate for. So he
Right.
doesn't have that.
And he did all the he runs the trading market,
Mhm.
and he gets a bit of everything. So he probably does have more food, more necessities and luxuries you know, than anyone else.
Yeah, I guess that was a show of look what I have with this. Look, each person gets a whole carrot.
Yeah. It wasn't the rat, but it was the carrot that was the big deal because he had a whole tirade about the carrots.
Yeah.
Um, carrot, and I mean they're in New York. It's not like it is easy to grow things. I mean, you can, I guess, in Central Park, but no one goes into Central Park because it's taken over by the dead and the whatever that group. Has the group even given us a name on
They
what they
do
call
have an
themselves?
they do have a name. They were calling them foragers, I think.
Okay,
Kinda like foraging in the
yeah.
wilderness kinda thing.
So but yeah, I mean, there's not a. This is very much a city that is encased in concrete. So growing anything has. It's not like wouldn't be easy to feed livestock or grow food.
Right.
I mean, power they have,
Mhm.
but honestly, if the Dama wasn't so insane, it would have been in her better interest to trade with the more, you know, farming communities around the areas. We'll give you this, and you give us food. And it would have been a mutually beneficial arrangement, but she doesn't do that.
No. Of course not, that would make sense.
Right.
Well, speaking of making sense, one thing kind of did not make sense to me. So, obviously, Maggie's plan to get into the museum unseen was to have a distraction,
Hmm.
and somehow, she knocks over the candelabra and that painting catches on fire.
Hmm.
They all run in there, "Oh, who did this?" But then they just go back to their business, as it were, when the fire's out. Like, no one he doesn't even say, "Hey, find out who did this. Look around. Is someone else in here? The Dama and her people are with us. Who knocked it over? Figure it out." I don't know, it seemed weird. Like,
Yeah,
this
but
painting that meant so much to him, they're
but
like,
he's
"Okay."
also, again, he's also unstable, and I think fire is one of those things that has been a problem for them. But yeah, I don't know. He
Power
reminds me of someone
find
who
out
has
who did this right now. Send a team of people off to figure out who did it, even if
he
it's not
reminds me of someone who has really bad ADHD, and I say this knowing I have an ADHD boyfriend who, in the moment of things, is blah, but when the moment is over, then he'll just go on as if nothing has ever happened.
him.
So yeah, he very much reminds me of someone who has very very bad ADHD.
Mm,
I've seen my boyfriend do this.
okay. Well, so I still think Maggie's plan wasn't the best.
I don't think it was either. And it's not that it was. I mean, it was a good distraction, and I'm sure she was figuring she would be out of there before things returned to normal, so to speak.
Yeah.
And she probably assumed that he would spend more time trying to figure out how it got knocked over.
Well, then her exit, right? She's on that balcony. She's trying to run behind the pillars, pausing, see if anyone's looking up there.
Right.
And she's failing miserably. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, people can see your ass up there. And of course, Damacy spots her up there and they're looking each other in the eyes. I'm like, oh gosh.
Yep.
I
And
said, ma'am, you're about to die.
I think that's the point right there where the Dama looked at her and said nothing,
Mm-hmm.
that she knew that Negan wasn't lying
Mm,
about Herschel.
yeah.
Because there was no reason for her to stay quiet. None.
Yeah, there wasn't a reason, but I think that in that moment, that kind of told me that Maggie's going to be the one to kill her.
Mm-hmm.
When she does die, it's going to be at Maggie's hand, I think.
I, I I'm going to go with that.
Mm-hmm. Like, you messing with my son, I'm going to take you out. Like, you
Yep.
crossed the line. Um, but yeah, so also then, Negan sees her up there and he's trying to help be a distraction, essentially, as well.
Right.
See, he's still helping her.
He is still helping her, and he
Mm-hmm.
will. Like I said,
Mm-hmm.
he is going to help her until he feels his debt is repaid, and the debt won't be repaid until Maggie is a whole person again, which may never ever happen.
Yeah, I don't think it will. I mean, I think maybe she'll get a little better
Mm-hmm.
at concealing it and kind of like stuffing it away for a while, but she'll probably never be fully 100%.
Right.
And maybe Herschel can get over it.
Yeah.
He's going to
And
have to.
it's not that I don't feel for Maggie. I mean, it was a Glenn's passing was a brutal death, and she loved him. Okay, but everyone in this world has lost somebody. Uh, Look at Carol. Her, I mean, her daughter is turned into a walker. Look at the flowers. Um, and then her adopted son ended up with his head on a spike.
Yeah.
So, and while she did go crazy for a little bit, don't get me wrong, she did, but she managed to pull herself back together and become a person again. And she lost a lot of people.
She did, but I think we're kind of comparing apples to oranges as far as their personality
Right.
types.
I mean, and I get it, but like I said, it's just Maggie's not the only person that's ever lost somebody. But
Yeah.
the way she has taken his death has been, even in the
She
best
has
of times,
she has
over the top.
severe PTSD.
Yeah, she's got things going on. Yeah,
Yeah, it's still traumatizing her. And she like, do they have therapists in this world? Anybody got used to be a therapist in the old
yeah,
world? Because she needs one.
she desperately needs one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Um, okay, what else was going on? So, what do you think about Bruegel using his bodyguard like that? I'm surprised a bodyguard would let himself be used like that. Like, you're this big guy. Like, how I don't know how he is able to command you.
Right. I'm gonna go with I don't know. There was probably drugs involved at first. My guess, I mean, because almost he was not human anymore. Not really. He wasn't a
No.
walker, obviously, but he barely spoke. He was eating raw meat.
So, at the beginning, or one of the first scenes, I don't know which order, whatever. He gives him the animal in the um
behind the curtain.
yeah, and he picks it up, and we don't see him, but we
Right.
hear him eating it.
Right. Ah, you are hungry.
Yeah. And
Good.
I'm like, "Oh my gosh." And I'm like, "That's not a walker." It's a body, because no walker is able to reach their hand out and grab food like that. So
Right.
I instantly kind of knew then, I think, what we were in for.
Hmm. I'm not sure exactly what this guy did, but I'm going to go with it was not nice. Yeah.
I don't know. He could have just been totally taken advantage of by him as well. I mean, we never can tell.
Right.
It's hard to know. And now it doesn't even matter because he's dead now.
He did. Yeah.
Yeah, he said,
He's
"I
lost
no
his
longer have a
champion.
use for you." So, gig is
Well,
up.
because he truly is afraid that if he uses him again, Negan can out him at any time.
Mhm.
And at this point, he can just say, "No, his something happened or whatever. He fell apart."
Yeah.
And there's no proof. At this point, it's only Negan's word, and that might be an. It, I don't think that's enough.
Yeah. I mean,
Everyone
cuz
may have their suspicions, but Negan saying this is what happened is not enough.
honestly, Bruegel can just say, "Hey, it turned and attacked me, so it had to go down."
Right.
And it be people will be done with it. Okay, so what's
Yeah.
next?
So, because no one was real. I mean, they were invested in the fighter to the point of they were winning and losing,
Mhm.
betting on him. But yeah, no one really cared about him. So, and I suppose Negan could eventually find the people that you know uh, he had cheated and say, hey. But again, that's still at this point a long shot. The only
Yeah,
the only way it's effective is if he had outed him right then and there,
right,
because
he
he
missed the
didn't.
window, and so now he got rid of him, so there's no proof.
Hmm.
Because, when at first when, Negan was kind of saying, "Oh, he must be jacking up these things with, chemicals and stuff, what are you doing to it?" I'm sure
Right.
I could figure this out, know. The people are already looking like, "What? What is he saying?" So if he were to out him for using an actual person in that moment, they would have reacted horribly.
Oh yeah, they would have torn him from limb to limb because
Oh yeah.
people, even people in that area, have lost things to him because of his walker always wins.
Yeah.
And then to find out that it was his bodyguard who was still very much alive.
Mhm.
um yeah, it there would have
Yeah.
been hell to pay.
But ultimately Negan won the round. He won. So
Hmm.
he got rid of his fake champion,
Hmm.
even if he didn't mean for him to die. He got him off the board. You'll never
Right.
see him again. And he got the alliance that was his whole
Mission.
purpose.
Hmm.
Yeah. He won. And so
Yeah.
maybe Bruegel's gonna feel a way about that later.
Yep.
Maybe it'll be another issue between them at a later date, or maybe not. Maybe he'll try to make an alliance with him specifically to go against Dama, maybe.
Yeah. Although I will say the Croat was looking a little upset with Negan for looking so good in the eyes of the Dama.
He's so jealous
Oh,
of
dude.
anyone that gets praise from her.
Yeah. And then when the Dama invited Negan to sit in the back seat with him,
Oh, he about died.
oh yeah, he's mad.
I think that is so gross. Like, I can't figure out what is it that he just needs approval so badly. That's his number one motivator, is to get pats on the head and told good job. Like,
I
it's kink level a problem for him.
Right.
What's
You know,
happening?
I mean, there are things happening. I'm just not quite sure what.
Yeah.
I mean, I could make a few guesses. Um, But yeah, none of them are good. And yeah, he is insanely jealous of his position with the Dama,
Mhm.
and he is fiercely loyal to her. But yeah, they have a weird relationship.
Yes. Very weird because he is very childish and jealous.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, and she gets something out of it. She must enjoy getting the attention or something.
Well, I think she likes his number one, his loyalty.
Mhm.
Um, he might be cruel and deadly and God only knows what to everyone else, but to her, he is a lapdog.
He is a lapdog. And honestly, no matter how tough he tries to come across, we are reminded constantly that he really isn't anything to be worried about because think about even Bruegel. He's making fun of his accent.
Mm-hmm.
He's not scared of him. He don't give a f. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to make fun of you, but I am."
But I am, you know. Oh yeah,
Like no one is scared of him, not at all. So, I don't know. He tries to come across he just is coming across as jealous and crazy
yeah,
and a loose cannon that you have to have someone constantly run behind him and make sure he doesn't ruin things.
right,
That is horrible. I don't understand why he's still around. Only because he's so loyal. That's the only reason she still
yeah,
keeps
and
him.
I think it's just because he gives off a scary persona
Mm.
to the common people,
Mhm.
and the Dama doesn't have to worry about him. She doesn't, she can literally turn her back on him and not worry about him stabbing it.
Yeah.
And I don't, and he may be the only person that she can turn her back on him and not worry about it because God knows she can't do it with Negan. You know,
Oh no, she's got to keep one eye on him at all times. She's constantly throwing the threat of his family in the air. I know Negan is like, if you bring them up one more time,
well, and you can hear she is toying with him
yeah,
with the whole, oh, they would have been so proud of you. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, they would be proud of you, or they will be proud of you.
yeah,
You know.
she playing games.
Oh yeah.
That whole, have you heard the phrase, play stupid games, win stupid prizes?
Oh
She
yeah.
has to get a stupid prize because
She is
that is
she's about a
crazy.
really stupid prize.
Yeah. Like you
And
playing with the wrong person, lady.
I'm really beginning to wonder. I'm sure that at one point she had his wife and kid, but I don't know that they're still alive.
Mm,
Um, and I think she knows that they're not alive, and she's toying with him.
yeah, totally could be. Yeah, it's totally possible. That would suck if they were gone, but oh, I hope they're not. I kind of hope they're alive.
I hope they're alive too, but
Mhm.
the way she's acting is very suspicious.
It is
And
suspicious.
this woman is batshit. So she knows the threat of she's holding over his head of his family is effective for now. But I think she's kind of enjoying torturing him with the knowledge that they're probably not alive.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't it the more she uses it casually, I don't know how effective it will continue to be.
Right,
Like, yeah, you keep bringing them up, but they're not here. What you gonna do?
right.
I don't know. I mean, it might continue to work, but she's using it so frequently and, like I said, casually. He looked like he was about to roll his eyes. Like, would you
Yeah.
stop bringing them up? We
Oh, yeah.
already agreed. Like, why are you
Right.
constantly trying to threaten me? That gets old.
Because she likes to toy with people because I don't yeah, she's a hot duck.
That's a nice way to put it.
So,
Definitely odd.
yes. I can't say that this was my favorite episode.
No, it was kind of
Um,
slow to me.
but it did have its moments that, I did kind of find amusing.
It kind of reminds me of like how some of the older episodes where everything happens in one place. We're not traveling or we're not with like well, we did
Multiple
have a
groups.
little bit of two groups, today in that episode, but generally everyone was at the museum
Right.
trying to do what they needed to do, which was kind of I guess it was fine. It allowed to kind of dig into some other parts of the story a little bit, but it wasn't very exciting. Even the fight wasn't that exciting to me because I kind of feel like I knew what was going on. So I wasn't
Right.
even really like hyped up by that either. So I don't know. It's a little slow.
Yeah. I said definitely not my favorite episode. It had a few moments in there that I kind of got a giggle from, but yeah, for the most part, I mean, it did give us some, you know, so we know that I forgot her name, the girl that was with Negan. We know that she's out
Oh,
to get him.
Jenny.
Jenny,
Mhm.
she's out to get him, and the secret is now out more or less that Negan is alive,
Yep.
and a couple. I mean, we got a little bit more backstory, but on a few things, but for the most part, yeah, it was kind of slow.
Yeah, and we know that new the foragers will continue to be around. They're going to be a part of this probably until the end
Yeah,
in some
as much
way.
as they want to get rid of everybody, it's time for you to go now. Yeah,
And he's like, "You know what? Let them pack up. I'll be back." And
yeah,
she goes, "Okay, fine. I'm sure they're not leaving right away."
right. So I mean, we've only got
Four more. This was the halfway mark.
this is the halfway mark. So yeah, um, it's not like we have a whole lot of episodes left. So you know,
It's almost like I feel like a whole lot of nothing is happening. Like a whole lot of things, but a whole lot of nothing. That's the only way I can think of it. Like we already kind of knew the things, so none of it. So yeah, we did get some confirmations of things,
right?
but
We had
nothing.
Herschel and Dama coming face to face.
Yeah,
We got Maggie has now been told that Herschel is, has been turned.
a traitor. Your kid's
He's
a
a
traitor.
traitor.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, we have some of those things have been, confirmed now that they're not just
Mhm.
speculation.
Right.
So I do hope though that next week is a little more fast paced.
Yeah, me too. I was like sitting there. Now, I guess the one thing it did have going for it is I did not have to rewind anything and I did not fall asleep. So that's a good
Hey,
thing.
hey, that's something.
That's a win.
It's a win.
Yeah.
So, but I think we're about done. What do you think?
Yeah, I've got nothing else. So we can just wrap it up.
All right.
It's been a good conversation, guys. Thanks for checking in and listening to the whole episode. We appreciate you for doing that. Again, thank you to everyone who listened in live. I know there were a few of you out there. We appreciate you for being here. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us all over the places. We appreciate that as well. And we'll catch you guys next week. Take care of yourselves. Bye, guys.
Bye bye.